Oh, is this one of my own
All right,
videos?
guys, we are going to
Okay,
watch.
yeah, this is interesting. I think you guys will like this. This is me 5 or 6 years later. This is me that Erad is gonna watch. This should be interesting here. Let's watch Erad watch an old DG video. Let's check it out. Let's see. Let's get me set up here. Can you move me over here, Pepe? Thank you so much. Well, just my friend Erad over here. Hi, Erad. Can we get some applause for Erad right now? Hi, Erad. How are you doing? Why are you not moving? What's wrong with you? Yeah, we all are, Red Bear. We all are. Let's see what Erad has to say while watching an old DG360 video. Back in those days, I was called The Games. I miss him a lot. I actually miss him a lot. And let's see what I have to say. This title is The Truth About Star Citizen, something that is my title on this particular video. And Erad is reacting to it, and we're going to react to Erad reacting to me.
A video from somebody whom I really appreciate. I consider him a friend of mine.
That's nice of him to say.
And this man is, of course, my buddy DG.
And you could be bald back in the day. I love it.
And this is a video that he made a long time ago, 5 years ago. The truth about Star Citizen.
It's probably still the truth. I don't remember this
I
one.
want to see if the truth, if the way that people thought that the truth was about Star Citizen 5 years ago still applies to this day. So let's see how right my friend...
Listen, it's probably going to be going philosophical mode. I was super philosophical beast mode back in those days because there were a lot of people that were pooing on the game, even more than there are now. There were so many people trying to like scrap this project, and they were shouting from the rooftops, but there weren't a lot of content creators. But the sentiment was so negative back then. It was the height of Scam Citizen, right? That was like the height of the craze of Scam Citizen. And look how far we've come, you know? And that's why all these kiddos that have these videos, and I'm not going to say names, but you know who they are, they got popular off of the clickety-clack, off the hater bait. You know, I've seen so many cycles of this. I've seen like 4 or 5 cycles of this where like these kiddos get on, they think they're saying something new, and, you know, it's still here. The project's still here. People are getting paid. They don't understand that there's real people, that there's real paychecks. They don't understand game development. And yet they're going to just tell you everything negative because it's what makes them make money. They're monetizing everyone. They're monetizing their fan base. They're monetizing people that come to the video. And people are clicking and don't even realize that's what they're doing. I mean, it's really insane. It's worse now than it was back in the day. It's worse now than it was back in the day, for real. I don't make a lot of money off my YouTube channel. I've always been transparent and open. I show people my dashboard on stream. And, you know, to me, I'm in it for the love of it. I'm in it for the project of it. But, like, I can always tell the people that aren't. I can always tell the disingenuous content creators that really are only in it for the hater bait and use you so that they can they monetize you. They literally are monetizing the public. You know, there are very popular Star Citizen content creators out there that are making serious bank monetizing off the hater bait and the clickety clacks. And I've seen so many different variations of it, but never so rampant as I have now. You know, it's crazy. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks that about the wipe news. So many people crying or so boring, dude. Here's the thing. They could have communicated a lot better, Aether. You know what I mean? They could have communicated a lot better, but Jesus, it's like, it's always going to be like this until it's finished. This is just the way that the development is. People want a finished game right now, and they don't realize what they're playing is something that's currently being worked on. They just don't get it. They didn't get it back here. They didn't get it back in this day. They didn't get it in today. And I hope I talk about that in this video. So let's see 6 years ago what I'm talking about.
And DG was 5 years ago about Star Citizen. I think that's going to be an interesting one.
Hey gamers, welcome back to The Guys.
The Guys!
I did a video about
I
a week or
missed
so.
I missed that.
Pretty well. Got quite a bit of attention. It was called The Truth About Star Citizens. You guys can check that out in that tab if you've not
Oh
seen
my
that.
gosh.
It's getting
You know,
some traction, and I think it's just because a lot of this.
You know what did not age so well is the old characters in Star Citizen.
Dude.
They look so much better.
Dude, that was like the new characters. You should have seen the characters before that. The characters before this, man, they were even worse. They were like Frankenstein, man. So like I've seen the progress of this game. Like that's what people like. I always laugh because people like, for instance, some people saying there's nothing being worked on in 2022. Like there's no work being worked on. It's like ridiculous, man. There's always work happening. There's always progress happening, man. It's just like whatever they decide to show you. They're not going to show you everything. They're going to keep some of it under the covers. You know what I mean? It's anyway. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Better now than they did 5 years ago. That's for sure.
That, sometimes the loudest members really aren't the ones that we should listen to. But in our society, it tends to be that the most dominant, loud voices are the ones that are heard the most. You can see that pretty much by anything that
still
you
the case today, unfortunately, and it has not become any better. DG,
use the most hits. I'm not operating off of that. I just want to get some messages out there on videos that really I don't think are out there right now. I don't think.
Yeah, Kadem says he has not seen those hangers in a while. I don't think they're in the game anymore.
I think they're important for our community. And today I want to talk about the truth about the game. After I talk about the community, I just kind of started thinking, well, what about the game? Let's talk about like the people behind it. And,
let's see how DG was right.
Said right now, I want to dispel a lot of the like naysayers and the doubters right now.
Oh yeah, there were lots of naysayers 5 years ago.
More
I think
than
that
there
was
are
even
now.
before. That's when I just started making contents because
there's less naysayers now in the general public, but there's more naysayers now in the content creation ring. So back in the day, you had like 5-6 years ago, and even before that, you had tons of naysayers. And you know what? For good reason. The game was still being worked on. Nobody knew. It was still up in the air. I always had faith that it would continue on and continue the progress. There were a lot of people back then that didn't, and that don't have channels anymore or aren't active anymore because, here we are still. Here we are still.
Today, by the way, guys, this is the anniversary stream. I need to make a proper
that's cool.
anniversary stream.
Good
but today is the anniversary of the YouTube channel. 5 years ago, I posted my first video on the YouTube channel.
Good to see you.
So today is the anniversary. So, and I was quite a naysayer already.
One of them. Feel free.
I think Erad was a naysayer that came to my channel. I'm pretty sure.
DG loves to argue and debate. He likes to rant too.
I do love to rant.
The internet,
There was points where we both been like that.
And hopefully you guys enjoy what it is that I'm spouting.
There needs to be a balance.
Banana fountain.
I kind of want to get over
and salads. Favorite thing to eat.
This whole like frustration cycle, as I call it, and that's anybody. I mean, like I realize this game 5 years, 5 years. And people
so when he says that the game has been in development for 5 years, and now it's 5 years later we're watching this, so 10 years.
Like, we're talking about time, right? So
I know, right? Because this video was made 5 years ago.
That have started from the very beginning and some have kind of just
original backer here.
Anymore. And for whatever.
And it's really sad, 5 years ago, some of the original backer had no more stamina. Can you imagine how it is, 10 years ago? I still got the stamina.
I got the stamina.
I'm still loving Star Citizen. Really excited about it.
I got stamina
I love pretty much everything about the experience, the Star Citizen experience. But I can understand it can be quite frustrating for a lot of people, right? Hey, Nick, you've been also a bagger for 10 years. That's awesome, man. Original baggers, right?
For whatever reason, they're frustrated because they spent like a lot of money in the game.
Oh, yeah.
And it's understandable that these people are a little bit upset because the game isn't finished. But this is a game that is never going to be finished. Now, when I say that...
Now, that's actually a very good point. And we saw that a little bit earlier when we had that video about server meshing. It's a game that will never be finished. There will always be something new to make. There's always going to be a new gameplay loop to make. And server meshing, they did say today, server meshing is going to take a long time. It's going to take years to make. Just like persistent entity streaming was years in the making, server meshing is years in the making as well. Because when we're going to have the planets, the new systems, it's just going to be the new systems. But then they want to be putting, server meshings for different areas. Maybe
he's got a good video.
Capital Ship is going to be its own server as well. That's how
that.
they're going to be enabling eventually in the future capital ship battles or massive org versus org battles with capital ships and fighters at the same time. They need to fine-tune server meshing to the point where Star Citizen becomes this huge open world in which tons of things are happening simultaneously at the same time. And it's definitely going to take an extra 10 years for sure.
Let me just tell you that I'm actually talking about the development of this game will never stop. And that's a good thing. Like a lot of games, the old way of thinking about games is that they're designed and then they're pumped out, they're finished, and that's it. That's done. Now, this isn't the way that this game is designed to be, and I like that. And for people that are saying that the game is never going to be finished, you're right. But that's a good thing. And
I like how DG made this video before VoIP was a thing.
Okay, guess what?
I did.
It's going to be developed after it's finalized. Now, I'm sure this will go on for years and years to come. This is the type of game you got yourself into. Maybe it wasn't presented correctly.
Now, that's another good point he's making. It definitely was not presented correctly. I don't know if you guys remember the original video, the original presentation. It was just a demo. In-engine demo. It's not even an in-game demo. It was an in-engine demo, and that was basically it. And Star Citizen, there was no difference between Star Citizen and Squadron 42 at the very beginning. It was just this experience. You would have the single-player campaign and this simple universe where you'll be going between planets and do some trades and callbacks, but it was supposed to be very basic at the beginning, and a game like that would have just taken just a few years to build,
so
and
much
then it would have
effort
been
by
out of the
fingers.
door, and that would have been it. Of course, after that, more technology was researched, more opportunities came, and we were asked on whether or not we wanted Star Citizen to become this huge,
all that finger
limitless
effort.
experience that they're building right now. But at the beginning, this is not how Star Citizen was presented.
Maybe Sig should just do a video that presents the game and says, listen, this is like an investment of your soul.
Yes, Twidget. Hey, Twidget, how's it going, man?
It's going to take some time. It's just going to take time.
Yeah, it was just Chris, his
really
wife, his kids, and his friends.
Like any other
That's
game.
what it was.
It's a revolutionary game.
Dude,
there has been...
It started out so small, just with like a very close-knit group of people that made this happen because they know that Chris can do it. I came to this project because Chris Roberts made multiple games that I absolutely loved and continue to play. I haven't played them for a while, but I'm talking about, Wing Commander. We're talking about, Freelancer. I mean, you name the titles, and most of them were pretty decent. I had a good time playing them, and they were very replayable. And I wasn't even a solo kind of player type dude, and I played the fuck out of him. Privateer, the cool thing is, like, everything that I played as a kid now is going to be basically modified to this experience right here, man. And that's why I got into this, and I know Chris could do it. Chris is a leader. Chris is just that type of dude. He's going to do it. He might not execute all the time on all cylinders. He might not be the best for the job in terms of, like, managing the actual business side of things, but damn if he doesn't see it through to the end. He's going to see it through to the end, even though it's fucking messy, even though we stepped backwards 1,000 times and tripped over and fallen on our faces. And that's what I really just trying to get across to people, that there is something to Chris's way of putting together an experience. All of us together and combined, basically, it's the game being adopted by more and more gamers. That means something. You're building up a community of people that believe in it, and belief is a very strong thing. And if you have enough belief in something, it will come to life. Like if you have enough people behind it and people who are leading the project executing, right? It's going to go somewhere.
No game where it's seamless, and this is the first game where it's really seamless. I'm sure there's a few you guys can,
Mark Strong.
I mean, Planetary Landing came shortly after this, I think.
Ridiculously large, and for somebody to have to come in and design this, all these people that are coming in to design this is not fake.
Like about a year or a little bit over a year, I think.
To do this is more than 140 million.
This is when they were just filming Squadron 42, bringing in actors
we are at more than 500 million now, DG. That's how much money we've collected. But it's interesting that 5 years ago we were already past $100 million, right? So it was already quite a lot of money.
Close to
5 years ago, and 5 years after that, it's insane, right? I know the first Kickstarter video with Chris, Sandy, and his kid, it was hilarious, but at the same time, it was quite awe-inspiring too.
Yeah, it was.
There you see Chris doing the mocap shoots in 2013. Look at how young Chris was. Look at how young he was.
Erad's right, man.
You know,
he looks so fucking young.
It really looks like time has passed.
Time was not
time
kind.
has had a heavy toll on Chris.
Right, it has.
I don't think
it's not
Chris
just time.
imagined how much.
It's the amount of fucking hatred. It's the amount of evil, fucking toxic hatred, man. You know, I wonder how far he could be with Star Citizen had he not let it, like, the public affect him so much. The reason why we don't see him in public anymore, the reason why we don't see a lot of videos, 10 for the Chair, one of my favorite series, the reason he took a step back away from the screen is because people were complete dicks to him and to Sandy. They weren't being, like, even civil. You got a problem with the company. You got a problem with the way the CEO's running things, which at the time, dude, they weren't making any money. I was very vocal about it, but damn, if I wasn't respectful, I was always going to be respectful in that matter when I was reporting on it. I wasn't going to put the man down personally. I wasn't going to put Sandy down personally, for God's sake. I mean, that's just bullshit, man. That's just bullshit. Making shit personal, it just shows what kind of guy you are or girl you are. It's low class, man. You want to go after the business, go after the business. You want to say that the person who's leading it doesn't know what he's doing, okay. But the second you cross the line, you make that shit personal, you show your bias, and I can't take people professional when they make things personal, period. But yeah, time and pressure, man. It grayed him up. It made him older, and it turned him away from the spotlight, man. And I wish he still appeared, man. You know? CR, because he's a sales dude, DEF CON, you know what I'm saying, dude? He's trying to sell the project and bring the money in. There's phases of game development where, like, you know, like especially the beginning phase, it's like you need to be a vacuum cleaner and suck that cash down to afford what it is that you're doing. So I get it. That's not an excuse at all. But DEF CON said, to be fair, Chris Roberts kept making promises that he couldn't keep. And we all know that he was giving us those timelines, you know? And they told him eventually, everybody in the company said, hey, Chris, STFU, bro. Like, stop with the times, stop with the dates, because everything had a date to it, right? Which is pretty much the impetus of the roadmap, by the way. People don't understand the roadmap came about because Chris Roberts kept fucking pushing dates out there for everybody, and they didn't happen. And the birth of the roadmap, you know what I mean? Like, that's basically where that come from, you know?
Work it would have been. You know,
what's up, Nate?
How much
Welcome
of a
to the
milestone.
stream, dude. So good to see you here, dude.
Doing all of those texts, creating all those texts, and making them playable.
Right,
but it's good for him, you know.
Red
it's
Bear's
still
old
his
school,
dream game, and he's working hard at creating it. Squadron 42 is still his dream single player game, his gaming experience, the merging of movies.
I'm in a lot of machinimas now, Nate,
but in a 20th century way. It's it's been a long time already in the making, but this again shows you, it really shows you that it's never gonna be finished, and it's just chapter 1. There's gonna be chapter 2 and chapter 3.
Yep.
So we can expect that once Squadron 42 is finished, they're going to go back to the mocap.
As long as Squadron 42 sells good, there'll be a chapter 2 and chapter 3. That's still up in the air and still up for debate. I think it'll probably crush it. I think Squadron 42 will crush it. They still got to work on character movement, AI. They still have to work on a lot of like gameplay mechanics, flight experience. There's a lot that still has to be done. The work that's happening in Squadron 42 does in fact slide over into the PU. First the PTU, then the PU. But, you know, this has been going on for a decade, over a decade. I've been involved with it from the very beginning. And so, like, if you want to come here for Star Citizen, anything, I would say, hey, you got a dude who's been involved with Star Citizen for over 10 plus years. So if you know, like, I get people come in, do you ever play the game? Do you ever play the game? Of course I do. Like, I mean, you can even see here, I'm playing the game before it was a game, before people who are coming in ask me if I played the game because they didn't even know what it was. So, you know, am I always in? No, I'm not always in because the bugs piss me off from time to time. Just like everybody else, the wipes piss me off from time to time. Do I play as much as I used to? No. Does that mean I don't love Star Citizen? Absolutely not. I love this game. I love the project. I always have. Anybody that's been involved with this for 10 plus years loves this. anybody that's been involved with this for 10 plus years has an A in my book. I don't care who they are because they've been in it for 10 years. It's a grind, man. You got to have the stamina. You got to show up. You got to represent. And it's good to be rational. It's good to look at this and hold people accountable for what they do. We've always done that on the channel. I've always looked at the financials. I always said they need to post a profit. Boom, last year they post a profit. And in a bear market, they're hiring people. Do you understand how amazingly bullish that is? That they're positioned in such a manner in one of the worst markets that this world has ever seen, and they're hiring and they're getting new commercial spaces. Do you understand how extremely bullish that is? So when people come to me and they say, DG, you don't know what you're talking about. DG, you don't know anything about Star Citizen. DG, you know, I laugh. I laugh because I've been here so long. It's like, obviously these kiddos are kiddos and they're new to it, or they're just trying to drum up some type of drama, trying to get the clickety clacks and trying to monetize you. They're just trying to monetize you when they do that. It's so transparent. It's so ugly. When I see that type of stuff, when I smell it, I personally would walk away and I don't ever watch their content again. I'm just like, I could do without it. But I think I have a perspective that's somewhat different from the general populace. You know, because a lot of the people in this project are new to it. I mean, look at all the new content creators that came in and basically gave free marketing to Cloud Imperium. You had Jack Frags, big millions worth of subscribers. You got Ollie42, I believe is his name, millions of subscribers. Who's the dude that flies with Avenger 1? The hell's his name? And Morphologist, and they're all like buddies and shit. What is it? Level Cap. He's got millions of subscribers. Level Cap. All these people coming in to this project are very new. They don't know who I am. They should. They don't know who I am. But I've been around 10 plus years. You know. Good morning, Constant. How are you?
Video again, and they'll do it all over again, right? Oh, Twidget. Yeah, you saw the dog. Yeah, they even put the dog, right?
Well, that's ridiculous. Come on now, 140 million.
Constant.
Are you kidding me? They can't get this game done now. Well, yeah, they can't get it done now. You're either believing in the people that that you've invested in or not. It's like the real world.
Right.
When you invest in a stock, you invest in the company because you either believe in it or you're just trying to make a quick buck. And you know what? Maybe the people that are frustrated are just trying to make that quick buck on the game and get the they just want to play it and have all the juices and the amazing rush of adrenaline.
Well, 5 years ago,
five years
ago there wasn't much to play 5 years ago, and that's
Old
also
age,
the reason
man.
why people were frustrated. 5 years ago, and 5 years ago we were at the very beginning of Alpha 3.0.
Yeah. It was like
So we were out of 2.0 already.
Yeah,
we already had the planetary
this was
take, but
done
it was
right
very
before 3.0,
buggy.
I think.
We had a
3.0,
ton of
Jesus.
crashes to desktop. Not a lot of 30Ks, not a lot.
No.
Because
Yeah.
it was just the
Didn't
moons
have
of
the tech.
Crusader, and that was basically it. But a
yeah,
ton
right.
of crashes to desktop,
Tons
very,
of
very
crashes.
low frames.
Very low
even
frame rate.
in the middle of nowhere on
Right.
the planet, low frames. And
This was before OCS. Like, all that footage was before something called object container streaming. And I was bitching about like the low frame rates that were just that and the financials. That's what I focused on to bitch about. But then I also, like, on the positive side, balanced it out with some positive. Like, here's what's going on with game development. You know, here they're making progress. You know, things are happening, because there were a lot of people that were saying back then that things weren't progressing. You know, a lot of people calling it a scam, and you have like millions of dollars being spent here on serious actors, and people were calling it a scam back then. The general public back then was more negatively charged, which is, I find it interesting, because now the content creators seem to be more negatively charged, right? The people involved generally, they were actually more positive, in my opinion.
it was not a pleasant experience. I remember sometimes not being able to play for more than an hour, because then I was getting motion sickness.
You were lucky if you had
That's
half
how
an
it was.
hour,
Twitchet with a bit. Thank you so much, Twitchet. I don't know why there is no alert.
Yeah, I did a lead before Star Citizen
man.
myself too.
They
Irritated.
want it right now. Well, that's just not the way that this game is. This is a long-term investment. This is a long-term play. You're investing in Coke. You're investing in Pepsi. You're investing in like companies that have been around for quite a while.
I got your video up at the end of the show today.
It's a blue chip stock.
Listen to me comparing Cloud Imperium to a blue chip. I love it.
When you have so many people back
celebrating the walk down memory lane, yes.
Probably modern. Well, no, that's
I embellished a little bit.
It would be a very large failure. And I understand people can come up to me and say, well, what about Enron? You know, that was a huge company. It was, you know,
right.
I don't remember what Enron was.
Company. Or you can come to me and tell me about, you know, any number of companies that have, you know, presented something that was completely false and lied to people. But this is... You're talking about a man like Chris Roberts that has a history in game development. He understands the industry.
Yes. That's already... I think that this is the biggest strength of Star Citizen compared to other similar projects that we're being seen right now. Yes, looking at you, Star Atlas, is that Chris Roberts had experience when he started the game. Chris Roberts not only had experience, but he also had contacts when he started the game.
And PO really was the very first,
what has also allowed him to get to where we are now, 10 years later. Has it been a bumpy road? Hell yeah, of course. Were mistakes made? Plenty of mistakes were made, of course. But at the same time, a lot of the technology that is being developed for Star Citizen have never been done before. So Chris Roberts has experience making games, yes, but he does not have experience making server meshing or persistent entity streaming. And so, see what I mean? So that's also why it's taking so long. But at the same time, he does have experience creating.
Oh, that's cool.
Or he's working on revolutionary tech or finding workarounds so that it looks good in games. Again, something
I think it's a bad thing. I actually think it's a bad thing. DEFCON, good question. DEFCON asked, the question is it a good thing or a bad thing that Chris Roberts no longer does 10 for the chair? I think it's a bad thing, but I don't think he's willing to like put up with the toxic anymore, you know, DEFCON. I really think Chris Roberts is very upset at the fact that most people are just screaming at his face and he doesn't want to have to deal with that. I mean, like if you had to deal with that every single day, I'd block that shit out too. You know what I mean? And I miss it. I loved when he just got in front of the camera and, you know, he was telling you his feelings on game design and where he saw the game going. And I miss that. I miss it. But yeah, that's what Jared's gotten at. Right. Exactly, Fingers. And you know what? That's actually probably one of the smartest things he ever did then, if you think about it that way, because he handed the responsibility off to Jared so he could focus on other things, you know? And like Nate says, many people aren't used to dreaming big. It's so easy. We talked about this last week. It's so easy, and we used Web3 gaming as an example. It's so easy to say, oh, Web3 gaming is never going to happen, or you know, merging crypto with gaming is never going to happen, or NFTs. It's a very easy target because there's no successful example of it ever happening yet. But it's harder to actually not roll your eyes. It's harder to actually say, hey, it will happen, and see yourself through it. Could you imagine back in the day if people were like, oh, we're never landing on the moon, or, oh, yeah, sure, you're going to get, okay, right, brother, sure, you're going to make a machine that's going to fly in the air. It's easy to be that person. It's easy to be the person to say that shit's never going to happen. I mean, this is why you need leadership and somebody with an imagination to see things through, and why it's so important that humanity has these leaders, has these people that push these things through. You need this type of innovation. You need people to fight that negativity. You need people to imagine big, to dream big. And in a world where everybody's plugged in right now, and all those negative voices are out there in mass right now, it's even harder to focus and to clear your mind and not listen to it and make shit happen. Could you imagine if Thomas Edison said fuck it after he tried making a light bulb like a couple times? You know what I mean? Could you imagine if you listened to the people that said, oh, fuck this, what are you doing? I can't believe you're even trying to do this, Tom. And Thomas just shut down. He was like, oh, yeah, you guys are right. Fuck it. You know, we'd never have light bulbs. You know, so I mean, like, that's what I'm trying to say. This hasn't been done in gaming. And as a gamer, I like what Chris is trying to do with this project. He's trying to push it forward. He's dreaming big, and he's trying to see it to the end. Period. And you're either going to believe and help out, or you're not going to believe and you're not. But like the interesting thing is the people that don't believe will hang on to that and get their audience that don't believe. And it's like a complete weird thing to me that that's out there. You know, all you have are gamers that are really enjoying the experience. I mean, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, we're just gamers playing games, man. We want to have a good time. We want a way we can escape and have a blast together. And so, like, you know, we enjoy what it is that we're involved in. We want to see it successful. And you've got a whole base of people that are just gamers coming to this, that just want a good time, that since the very beginning here have been playing and been a part of the journey. And then you've got people who maybe aren't involved for so long of a time, and then they start making hate content and they monetize you. And they don't even play the game, or they're not even really into it. And they're literally just recycling like old naysayer kind of responses that are, you know, to me, it's like, can you not see how far this has progressed? I mean, as mad as we all are that this game is not done yet, I mean, for a moment, can you look at where we were at and can you see progress now? I do. Just like before this was even out, and all we had was hangers, man. This is the old ArcCorp. I love the old ArcCorp. I miss it a lot. But even before this, all we had were hangers and Arena Commander, and nobody thought this was going to come out. Everybody's like, oh, we'll never walk around. Oh, we're never going to have a place we can walk around. And boom, they had a staging area, the old ArcCorp, and you started to walk around. You could start to see things. You saw the progress, and Jesus. Then the next thing that naysayers gravitated to and glommed onto. You know, I've had my moments. I've been a naysayer, I've been a white knight, I've been a naysayer, I've been a white knight, but I've always kind of like tried to balance it. Through all my phases of following this project, I've always tried to balance it. I think that's important. You know, I don't want to make content that is like hater bait. You know, it's not me, man.
Convinced that the developers of other new games that aim at offering the same type of experience as Star Citizen do.
Experience is really important. Not understanding or realizing the magnitude of the promises that he has put out. You know,
hey, Acid,
as the
you're
type
welcome,
of person
man.
that Chris is, he's a very domineering, kind of dominant guy. Like I've watched.
Put the footage on the second channel, by the way, later.
Said, wow, he kind of rules with an iron fist, and there's not a lot of democracy when it comes to the design within the company. And you know.
Hey, you know what?
There shouldn't be a democracy in capitalist venture. You listen to the boss, man.
If you want democracy in private businesses, then
it's ridiculous.
That's not how it works,
right?
You know?
Dude, that's why I love E-Red.
When you run a business, the boss is the decision maker.
You listen to your fucking boss,
and if you don't follow
you got hired to do a job.
The guidance of the decision maker, then go work somewhere else. That's the way it should work. So yeah, maybe some people were complaining. Oh,
Fingers.
Chris
Roberts exactly
is,
when
this
is exactly then Fingers.
He's just being a boss. That's how they are, you know.
That was one of the criticisms back then from the kiddos
and
back
the boss.
then.
When you are the employee, you know, good soldiers follow orders.
Always
you do what you're being told, and if it doesn't work, you do exactly what you were told.
Yep.
And then it doesn't work. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. That is where bosses take responsibilities. But in these days and age, unfortunately, and I'm seeing that with young people. And when I was young myself, I perhaps also did not understand that so well. But that's the reality.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I know that those types of people generally get things done, and that's a good thing. That type of leadership, really down to the pixel.
There you go.
I actually saw an interview where one of the...
Now, DG is definitely more senior than I am. And see, even back then, you know, 5 years ago, when I think he was already older than I am right now, 5 years ago, he already has figured out
sexier the older I get.
You know, these types of bosses are the most effective ones, and they get things done. Absolutely.
Designers that he...
By the way, isn't it awesome to look at the old ArcCorp?
Oh, yeah,
do you guys think
I miss
that the old ArcCorp
much more
looks better than the current one?
I do, actually.
I prefer this old styling.
I do prefer the old styling.
So much. It looks so much grittier.
Yeah.
And
more
and
ArcCorp.
Cyberpunk-ish.
Yeah, right.
I just hope that they're going to be taking those assets and the style and put it on another planet, maybe less technological than ArcCorp. I just loved walking around that particular area.
Thank you, Adrian.
In the early 2000s had said Chris pointed at a pixel and wanted one of the green pixels turned blue.
You never saw it in person? Yeah, like it was a long time ago.
That's how much of a perfectionist Chris is. And the perfectionist might be scaring people and thinking that the perfectionist is going to basically delay. I get it. Don't be
salt
an
and pepper
investor,
mix.
because you're not going to be happy unless you have that rush right away. And if you're that type of person, stay away from the game.
It still is the case today. It's very interesting to see that it's still the case today. If you want Star Citizen to be a perfect experience, it's not an experience for you right now. It's buggy, it's changing, there are wipes. The progress that you are doing in game.
I think I even talk about that.
Can be gone at any time. It's something that you have to keep in mind when you are playing Star Citizen. And if that's something that frustrates you, if it's something that you don't want, Star Citizen is not for you.
I've seen how far it's come in 2 years. I've been in this for 2 years. That's my history. If I had been this in 3 or 4, I can't tell you that I think anything different about it, because I understand that.
You gotta go, Deplorable. Have a great day. Cheers.
And the people that come to the game is in the video that we talked about, last. My only fear about the people that are coming into the game.
Oh, look, there's someone coming out behind.
Tends to be this elitist, and this happens a lot in sci-fi games.
It does.
I notice this happens quite a bit in sci-fi games, that you have like kind of an elitist attitude. Yeah. I don't know if it's because of there's a lot of people
high
that
IQs
have, put the money that they have in the game or the time to research it. And let me tell you something.
Well, at the same time, sci-fi is not a genre that's popular among the masses, right? So
it's a very dedicated audience.
Also, sci-fi includes, there's some science involved. You gotta like science, when you like sci-fi. So yeah, he's got a point. Some people are sometimes a little bit elitist. Maybe they think they're better than others because they're interested in science. I don't know, but that's something that I've noticed is quite interesting.
Star Citizen content, you got to know your stuff. Or there's no sense in
don't listen
videos.
to exactly. Red Bear says there's one thing that always bothers me a bit when people come to the game and should know how the game will evolve. They try to make the game around their preferences. I see that all the time. You see that in our PvP and PvE discussions. Game design really in an MMO is super important to balance PvP and PvE play. It's very essential that the design team, the developers, focus on a way to balance so that PvEers can do PvE things and PvPers can do PvP things, and then have somewhere in the middle where it can all mix into a delicious stew. And that's on the developers, But I hear this all the time from PvEers, and you see, we're going to see an example of it in a video we're going to watch later today from Citizen Kate, where some guy gets pissed at her and says, if you're going to put pirate gameplay on here, I'm going to stop watching your channel. And Kate says something pretty cool, so we're going to watch that a little bit later. I can't wait to see that. But yeah, that's, you got to be careful for people that tell you, like, this is how your game needs to be played, right? But you also have to be rational and realize, what are you getting into? In an MMO, in a traditional sandbox MMO, dude, there should be a really nice mix of PvP and PvE that's very balanced by security and should be policed in such a manner where it's restrictive in high security areas and less restrictive in outlaw areas, periods. And I like the way that they actually planned things out. Cloud Imperium's approach on security is very similar to EVE Online in the fact of how they kind of take systems and they predefine the area that you're jumping into. This area is going to be outlaw. This area is going to be, alien. They even have that. So it's very important. It's very important.
I've spent a lot of time, but there's many people out there who have even done more, and not even on the content side, on the player side. I respect people like that.
Right, irritated.
What I don't respect is when they put it back in your face, and the kind of snide, elitist attitudes really tend to take people like that have these dreams of what this game's going to be, and then come to this game, and it turns people off, and it does not help the growth. It does not help the community, and it doesn't help the people who are trying to make this game a reality. The PU is becoming more enriching of an experience, bringing in gamers from our own community, having a good time. And
we can tell DG is excited about the PU. But he was excited in the PU back then, 5 years ago.
When the PU just arrived, that was awesome.
The rendering of the characters, the movement of the characters, the interactions between the characters and the ships, the ability to actually have multi-crew. The Star Marine introduction of FPS and testing of it.
All of that was there 5 years ago already.
There's so many advancements that have happened since I have played this game that for me to go back to the original truth about Star Citizen, where people are worried that this game is not going to come out, it will come out. And I don't even feel like it's a legitimate thing to start talking about this at this length. You know, because I think about the people that are really saying this are those loudest people. They're the people that really don't give a damn, and they want that rush right away.
And by the way, a fun fact about the people who still say that 5 years ago, so 10 years into development, a lot of these people, sometimes they're also content creators, right? A lot of these people actually play the game, you know? They're like, oh, this is never gonna be out. Oh, it's not so great. Oh, it's so buggy. But they still play it every day, you know?
And so, like, maybe I'm doing it.
I love you, Rad, man.
By continuing to talk about this, I want to talk about the people and their commitment within SIG right now.
A commercial. You know what? Let's watch DG's commercial. Let's support DG360.
Wow.
So we're going to be.
I'm getting revenue from you, Rad. He's supporting me. Good. He's watching the entire commercial.
So it's called Total Battle.
What is going on?
This one's for you. See, I'm not using ad blocks, DG. Shame, by the way.
That's a whole
DG,
5 cents.
When you're using ad blocks, you are not supporting.
Nice. I use ad block for my
the channels that you are watching.
We don't like
in your stream. So you should be hitting that shame button. Shame, shame. So I know DG is gonna be watching that. He likes to do reactions of the reactions.
Yeah, I do.
To his reactions.
He's great. It's funny.
See, I really want to click on skip.
He's really watching the whole commercial.
Not gonna do it. Doing it for my friend.
That's
no,
awesome.
I'm not gonna play.
I love him.
No, I'm not playing now. All right, I'm gonna have to skip here. But I watched it.
You know,
okay.
Every time
Thank you,
see new information posted on
he knows what I'm thinking. We have great discussions.
Oh, look at that. We can see the old loading screen here.
YouTube channel and the amount of content that they are producing for people. You have to take it seriously. These are real people, real jobs, real information that they are giving us.
Wow, look at that.
The truth about Star Citizen.
Look at that. It got a couple of missions. We had the different mission listings back in those days. You know, PI wanted, hack your crime stat. Yeah, DG had a crime stat. It's probably starting that remix.
I always have crime stat.
And then it will come out.
And they had, look at that. That's funny. They also had FPS radar. Now, where is the FPS radar right now? They already had it back then.
If you are one of the people that are listening to the chatter about, oh, this is a piece of crap game, you can't even do this or you can't even do that, or all the negative shit that I hear like over and over again.
Oh, DJ, I'm gonna have to edit this out.
Man, just mute it. At this point, it is a game.
Adult time over here. We cuss a lot.
Be a gamer.
Wow, look at that helmet.
Well,
dude, look at the lighting and the reflection.
Flight suits
on that
definitely
helmet,
looked a bit different than what they.
Like honestly, that helmet looks fucking fantastic. Like it really does.
They are now. Wow, can't help but to look at.
He's looking at my cod piece. E-Rad.
You're not a gamer. Like, and you know what? This is such a new way
fucking helmet,
to fund a game. And there's so much money and emotion tied into it that it's not unreasonable to think that there's going to have to be this kind of conflict, this friction, where people get upset about the fact that it's not out yet.
And there still is.
What they should really focus on.
But at the same time, it's interesting because, you know, 10 years into development, 5 years after this video was made, of course, we're having more than ever new players coming into the game, trying the game, you know, through the free fly events. And I think that because there's been a lot of content made between now and then 5 years ago about explaining how the game is, showing the bugs. You know, I think that
you hear that echo,
content creators
it does sound like I'm in a bathroom.
A lot of that work of explaining to I wouldn't say the masses,
where my
but
PC
to a
setup was.
wider
My streamer
audience,
setup was in the
how this
bathroom.
game is being developed, how it works, what you should be expecting as well when you are playing this game. That I think that it has also over time, the phenomenon did not disappear. We still see that, but we see it less and less. I think that 5 years later, people are more understanding that this is a process that takes time. At the same time, Cloud Imperial Games have also delivered some results. It's slow, but it's still coming in. And so it gives also them credit as well in the eyes of some of the doubters or naysayers. And back in those days, there were quite a few naysaying channels that were thriving.
There were a lot.
That
There's
don't
more
make
now,
content
though.
anymore because
There's more now,
some
though.
of the criticisms that these channels were thriving in back in those days are
gone
not
because
as
their
much
opinions were
relevant
wrong
today as they were before, or people are not
it's okay to
interested
have an
in that
opinion. Here's the thing. It's okay to have opinion and express it, and you're going to be wrong sometimes. We're all human. You know, it's fine. But there are channels, or were channels, and there are even more today, I would argue, that continually monetize you for saying the same thing over and over again in different ways. And essentially the messages behind all of it in its different formats is this game won't come out. These people don't know what they're doing. And that's the message behind it all. No matter how many different content creators that do this are out there with their content, when you watch it, it can come in different packages. It can come in different packaging, but the package inside is basically always the same, saying something negative. And it's terrible because people will gravitate to that because maybe they had a bad experience with it. Maybe it's just easy to make a joke about it. You know what I mean? But, you know, look how long we've been here and we've seen the progress, for God's sake. We know what's up. We know what's up. They're at a pivotal moment right now where the rubber's going to meet the road and they have to get server meshing to work. We have waited for this for a long time. We are here now, and the real work is got to get done. It's time to play ball.
More perhaps.
I
Here,
think this
Kadium
is
says that the
exciting
helmet
time
looks like
of
the
development.
Jar BB was in Death Stranding. I didn't play Death Stranding, but
I think
the effect looks really cool,
able
though.
to get Squadron 42 out the door.
Probably one of the most exciting times I've ever witnessed.
DG wanted
now.
Squadron 42 out of the door 5 years ago.
Dude, I did. You know why?
The same as
I'll tell you why. Because they would have that money now. Like, they could have put out a product, but maybe it wouldn't have been as good. And see, Chris is a perfectionist, so he wasn't going to put that out there until it was ready. But man, if they put something out there that was Squadron 42 early, they would have had that revenue already because it's a single player game. I always thought that the Squadron 42 chapter should support the PU development.
As the PU, or what Star Citizen portends to be. You know, something that will, because there's always these phases, there's these cycles. If you've noticed,
Yeah.
people get hyped. Woo, this is great. Some new feature of the game is released. And it's like, wow, this is great. And you get hype. So many people just like building up. And then it's like, oh, you mean SIG has to do more work? Of course they do. There's so much work left. I'm not trying to fool you guys.
It's still happening now. We still have that, and we still see that with I don't know if you guys know, but we still that also with some of the. There's been some really big, content creators talking about multi-million subscriber accounts getting into Star Citizen, and if you guys remember, their videos were also like, "Wow, Star Citizen is so cool! It's the best thing ever!" It's been like that for. First couple of months, they were so hyped about it. And then a couple of months after, you saw them starting to say, well, there's still a lot of work to do. It's not a perfect. Think about it before you join Star Citizen. They're starting to make this kind of content as well, right? You can see the hype train slowing down as well. It is still the case right now. It's just, it's the people who've joined recently are now experiencing that. And the old timers, like myself, who've been there for 10 years now, we're like, it's okay. I've seen that before. We're just here for the ride and enjoying the fun. We're done. When you've been there for 10 years, you're just done. Getting getting disappointed.
How you
and
doing,
hyped
Bad
and
Style? Good to
disappointed.
see you on stream,
for me,
bro.
every new thing, any new feature is cool, is exciting, and I'm just taking what I'm being given at this point. That's how I see it.
Into thinking that just because I'm telling you this game is going to be finished, that it's going to be done anytime soon. In past videos, I have told people how long that this game is going to take. And I've been pretty damn close on the schedules of when things are going to be.
I was wrong about release, though. I was saying Squadron 42 would be done around 21-22, so I'm already a year off of that prediction. I said Squadron 42 would be out the door 2021-2022, so I am wrong about that prediction.
Be released on all patches. Past 3.0.
Right,
if
right.
you look at my 2016 sitcom video, I kind of lay out the groundwork on what I think when these things are coming out, and I have been almost 100% correct.
Listen to me bragging.
And that's because I understand the process of game
And
design.
that's where you see
narcissist
DG is
back
one
then.
of the most underrated content creators for Star Citizen, because he is indeed very often correct.
That don't get talked about.
But then when he is correct, he brags about it.
Absolutely.
By other content creators.
Narcissist.
I don't like just the post news, although that I do.
If I don't brag
But
about
I
it,
like to talk about
it
this
won't.
with you
Nobody's going to
because
give me
it's
credit if
fun.
I don't give
It's
myself credit.
interesting. You get
That's
to
just
sit
the way it
there
is. Nobody
and you
likes
get
to give me
listen
credit for
like,
anything.
Oh my God, here's something I
Anything.
haven't heard before, and you can comment. You know, and
He does know me,
comment
right?
Unlike any
It
other,
kind of pisses me off, honestly. It really does.
Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about the development?
Oops, missed the
I can see
elevator.
the Greenmax elevators were not working so well
busy
already. That's
talking.
really-
Like how far in, and you know the
See,
whole.
back in the day, I used to actually just play the game while talking and recording, and I don't think there was anybody back there that did that back then. And now everybody, you know, now it's just commonplace because people are playing the game. And back then there wasn't much to play, but I was the only one, I think, back then doing that. More credit for the narcissist here.
In trading in 3.0, and I'm really into the economy and the industry, and that's going to take a long time.
Right,
to
right.
set up. But 3.0
Hold on, Aether.
itself
Thank you very much. Let's
is
just.
going to be out this year.
Oh wow! Oh wow! The video was actually made before. I like how you say. I like how you say, oh, I'm always correct. Oh, 3.0 is gonna be out.
I was wrong on 3.0 by a few months. It was only a few months. It was only a few months.
Sig has stated that there's some rumors that there might be some hiccups.
They were
What's up, Stunner? You're in the right place, buddy.
Matter because in this type of
Good morning,
scenario,
dude.
you have
Good
to
to have
be
you on
patient
stream,
for this
man.
game. In the meantime, you know, learn the mechanics of the game. Get people involved. Get people interested. Do something positive.
Kaden, that's actually a very good
Bring
idea.
people
They need
in.
to have a
Teach
mission
them
to
how
fix the
fly.
Greenmax elevator.
There's so many intricacies even now within the flight panels. If you're a co-pilot, if you're a turret gunner, and you're trying to like help SIG make a better turret gunning mechanic scenario. Because they need it.
Oh, so
But there's
bad.
They
a
have.
lot of points in this game where you guys can put your input in and help, and that's what our community
Still needs
does.
work, although
I like
majorly
to have a
improved.
community that is very
Wow,
active and
DG
vocal
had a pretty
in
big
theory
roster of
crafting,
ships
with
back in those days.
survival,
Look at that. Look
with
at how many
economy.
Starfarers he
We're
had.
talking about owning your own shops, like brick and mortars. You know, like we're talking about things
I just
that
made an
don't
alt
get talked
account
about.
and
The
slid
truth
over my
about this
cutting and a
game
few
is
other
it's
ships.
in
So
the
when I start putting
design
gameplay out there, it's not
phase.
impressive.
That is the truth about this game.
And it still is. It still is with the video we saw today, server meshing. They were still designing the process of how they were going to make server meshing in January of this year, in 2023. So it still is in a way. Of course, gameplay-wise, it's not in the design phase anymore. Well, it is but for some of the gameplay loops that we don't have right now. But for a lot of what we've already had, it's already a lot of stuff has already been shipped. But if you think of how it was ago, 5 is actually more 6 years ago. Lots of stuff did not exist right now. They were still in design phase 5 years after the first Kickstarter.
Game, and it will continue to be in the design phase even after it is finalized.
Yes.
There's your truth.
And he was right. Yep.
And
5 years
that's
ago,
the
still
way
is.
that this game is, and I like the fact that the game is built this way. I like that it is going to
Truth bomb.
continually be designed upon. When the framework and the skeleton is actually put there in the nervous system, and you've got all these different systems on top of each other, and they are functioning. And you can
I'm ridiculous
actually put,
sometimes.
quote unquote, finalized Star Citizen out on the market. what's going to end up happening is it's still going to be in the design phase.
So deal with that shit.
And I want that in a game because it means it's always going to be updated. It's always going to be
that's what we call a live service.
Glitches. It's always going to be looked at for bugs. It's always going to continue to be upgraded. It's got a team behind it.
It's the difference between a game that's live and a game that's dead.
I think they'll cut some staff. I think they'll cut some designers. I think they'll cut some testers. I think it'll be cut down.
They did a little bit. They actually trimmed down that year.
Continue to be this juggernaut unless they're going to actually do the same thing with.
It's hilarious how you could use guns outside of Greenmax back in those days.
Chris, this is it. This is the one thing he's always wanted. This is his dream. That is the truth about Star Citizen. This is
look at that frame rate.
Dream. More truth. And when you have a man who's this dedicated and focused and a leader, and this is his dream, he will get it done at the expense of everything.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep.
And that's what we're seeing with Squadron 42. Squadron 42 is even more of a dream for him than the Persistent Universe. The Persistent Universe funds Squadron 42, but Squadron 42 is his dream. Chris has always been into movies, into making movies. He wasn't successful at making movies, but he was successful at making games. So
that's debatable. I honestly think sometimes, you know, I get it because he's into cinema. He wants that cinematic kind of experience. So in a way, Squadron 42 probably is his baby in his mind. But like, I think he understands the importance of the PU and the fact that it's old school sandbox MMO. You know, I think that's pretty close, if not more than Squadron 42 in my mind, that Chris wants that PU experience to be a cinematic experience. He wants the PU to be the movie. So I differ a little bit on that, but I get where he's coming from. I get where Erad's coming from on that.
Why not making a game that's also a movie? That's what Squadron 42 is going to be. That's his dream. That's why it's taking so much time. But as DG said in the video, Chris is also a perfectionist. He wants everything to be as perfect as it can be, and that's also why things get redone and redone and redone, and mechanism gets redone again until finally they get that level of perfection that he has envisioned for his project.
Exactly, Fingers. Exactly.
So stand behind it. If you're an investor, stand behind the game and don't always listen to the loudest people. Don't worry about the people that are like screaming stupid shit. Don't worry about
His words.
Because this game is a labor of love.
Sticking
and
to
those
that.
people that are invested in it, their hearts are in this game. That is where my subscriber base lives. In the emotional context of the design of the game. It is right there where they live, eat, breathe, and sleep. They are gamers. They're the people that will back this and make it into reality because
and we are.
like Chris,
and we are.
believe in this
and we're making it happen.
reality.
It's us. It's all of us. It's not just them. It's us.
That's all there is.
Yep.
That's all there is.
Yep. That's all there is to it. Simple as that.
Thank you, gamers. Thank you, citizens. Do your best.
Still the
to bring
truth.
New people in the game.
6 years later, still the
we've
truth.
done our best. We've done our best. Very interesting video from DG. DG was right. 99%. Yeah, he was not right about the release of 3.0.
Alrighty,
but,
Rad.
very interesting to see the point of view of an old backer like DG who's been around for quite some time and see how things have evolved 5 years later.
Still here, still rocking it.
See how right we could have been
Still
or not based on our experience that we had 5 years
Thank you,
ago.
Fingers.
And who knows,
Love you, bro.
it's going to be interesting also to
Thank
check
you,
this
thank
out in 5 or 10
Appropriate
years to see if this is still going to be the case
It will be.
in those days. Anyway,
It still
guys, that
will
is
be.
all for this video.
Very
It's also
cool.
all for this-
I'm going to put a link to the video. You go there. That's Erad's secondary channel where he's reacting to things. So go over there and check that out. You know? Yeah. You know why it's a bad takeoff? Because I'm busy talking during it. I'm trying to get like really good shots while I'm talking, and I think I could multitask, right? And I'm recording the video, and I literally am. I'm flying in. Hold on, let's see the ending. I literally took that Connie and drove it into a fucking pipe.
Thank you so much to Twitch it as well.
Look at me getting shot at now by this.
I don't know why the alert did not work, but much appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel on YouTube as well. It's on the second channel. You may not be subscribed to it yet.
That's the bad thing about
plenty
recording and
of
playing
new
at the same
content
time.
coming up on the second channel.
Back in those days, there wasn't a lot of confrontation. Like that happening back then is very unusual, by the way. I was pretty shocked because that didn't happen too much back in the day.
And on Daily
I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, so you might want to check them out too if you have not. Been your rat, and I'll
anyway,
see you guys
I put the link there for you guys. You guys go check that out. Go to subscribe. Go tell them DG360 Army. I love them. I'm gonna like that. I'm subscribed to his React and Play channel. It has 1.9 thousand subscribers. Let's get them up past 2,000, guys. You guys are the greatest. Keep it going on. I'm going to switch myself over to the other side for future videos here. And thanks for watching. That was a long watch, and I appreciate you guys for sticking in there for that. Let's see what we have next.